Round of applause from everybody. They get the stripe on their belt. Again, we make a child strong and the parents proud. So it's always that, right? Yeah, then we have a parents and kids mid-seminar. Once in a while, we have a Little Dragon parents kids seminar. We have a gymnastics seminar that my daughter runs. We have no after-school program because, thanks to the German school system, they can leave their kids at school until 4 o'clock. And they have regular school, then they have a lunch break, and then in the afternoon, in the 2 hours in the afternoon, they have lots of sports activities. They have karate, they have fencing, they have this, they have that, and it costs hardly any money. So to get them away from that and pay you $350 or $450 or whatever it takes to become an after school, it's very, very difficult. One of our friends, he tried that with the Dwayne Spires program, and he invested a lot of money to do that, and it didn't work out. So it's that. Every school has a little thank you note with a cupboard where you can get coffee, water, tea, and that, and it's always free. And just thank you for being here. And we have one of our things is we have a good open house concept. Like in February 8th, we had an open house. We spent $1,500, and we had 80 bookings. So 4 classes were full, and then we pre-qualified. Pre-qualification, what we call pre-qualification is we call them and we tell them everything. All the contracts, tuition, what everything costs, everything that's going to come along with money, we know. Because on the day of the open house, I want to talk about money as little as possible, right? So we have 25% dropping out after we pre-qualify. It's always the same number, 25% dropouts. And now it's too expensive, they drop out. And so we had 60, then we have a 10% no-show rate. And then from the people who show up, we have a 10% crybaby rate that just are glued to the parents and they don't want to do anything. And then we have a 75% closing rate. So on February 8th, we had an investment of $1,500, and for that we signed up 35 students. So that's good. And apart from that, we have a written process for everything from saluting somebody who comes in, how we want that done, and to the daily report that he sends via WhatsApp. The Black Belt is the very special day for everybody. For every martial arts student, the Black Belt is the one special day. I know that some people today are of the opinion you do it during class, or you do it if he has a certain amount of classes, and you just give the belts, right? We are more strict with that, and especially for black, we have a thing, we call it the Black Belt Experience, and it starts, from the start it's 5 weeks, and it takes 5 Saturdays altogether. It takes 4 days of Black Belt prep, and then 1 day of Black Belt test, and then what they got to do in between. They have to do, of course, all the physical requirements for the either Power Kids or Action Teens program. Whatever they do must be demonstrated. The designated fitness test must be passed, and they need also at least a certain amount of hours of assisting that have been fulfilled, and then they have to. We expect a written paper on a topic of choice related to the martial arts, and that must be submitted 1 week in advance. It should be 1 page. So what we're trying to do is that we're trying to get the kids to think about the martial arts if they're not on the mat, and to think about what's important to them. And it's like we give them examples like, how has martial arts positively changed me? How has martial arts training influenced me? Why have I stayed in the martial arts for so many years? And they can choose whatever topic they want. There's no wrong, right? They can choose what they want. I had a student, she'd been with me for 35 years, and for her adult black belt, she gave me, I think it was like a diary when she was small, like with all that she was scared when, I never knew that she was scared when we went to competitions, but when I read that, it was so great that she overcame so many things, to become a champion fighter, because she always fought, but she was always scared, and I never knew that. And she just did that, so there's no wrong. And then they must read a book of martial arts, any book they can find, I don't care, and they have to choose one chapter, and the one chapter has to be presented verbally. And then we have a preparation journal that must be kept for the amount of time, and for that we make an agreement, like a contract, between us, between the school, the student, and the parents. And that must include the points that that contract includes is limitation of, during the preparation phase, limitation of screen time, sufficient sleep, complete attendance at all classes, and nutrition. And it was funny that they have to write a nutrition journal. That means they have to just to write down everything they eat. And we've experienced that they really change habits with that, because they don't want to, they would love to eat pizza, but they don't want to write it in the journal, right? And because a mother told me, she asked her son, you want pizza? And he said, no, I don't want pizza. And she said, well, yeah, but you love pizza. And he said, yeah, but pizza is not healthy. And if I eat it now, then I have to write it in the journal and see who's going to read it, right? And the funny thing is that a lot of parents told me that the change it made is that the kid never wanted any vegetables, so now he ate it just so he could write it in the journal. And then he found out that it doesn't taste that bad, and they just changed their nutrition habits. Also, some parents, who like fast food more than healthy cooking, they had to change their habits, because if they buy the kid fast food, the kid has to write it in the journal, right? So we really made it to change a lot of habits to the better through this. And then I believe that people who can pay my tuition are economically already on one side of society. That counts for all of you here. If they can pay 150, 200, they come from parents that are well off, because poor people can't afford that. And I think a black belt should be able to give back. So what we do at the beginning of the black belt experience, we give them a big box, and until the day of the test, they have to fill it up with donations. And we don't want them to throw their old stuff in there. It can be stuffed animals, it can be games, it can be whatever, but they have to fill it up and bring it. And then we're cooperation partner of Kids Village. It's like for orphans or people who live there because they have hard times with their families. And we have two, three other organizations that we partner up with. And then we go, when the boxes are filled up after the test, we go all together with the kids and donate that. So, they learn, yes, I have to give, that they give back. And so that's basically it. And then on that graduation day, this year is going to be May 2nd, and we only do that once a year. So everybody knows if I skip classes and I don't make it to my black belt test in May, then it's going to be next year May. So the attendance is high. And again, on that day, from the first intro, when we try to make the kid strong and the parent proud, of course, for a kid getting his black belt and a certificate and a round of applause from everybody, it's not very hard to say that, again, we fulfilled our mission creed by making kids strong and parents proud. That's it, actually. The biggest part of business for me nowadays is networking. Like, we have such a great group of friends. We share absolutely everything. We're totally honest with each other. There's no secrets. And the value this seminar has to me, I think it's well represented by the fact that it's the third consecutive time that I'm spending my birthday here, which is Saturday. So as a father, I'm not very happy that my kids are not here, but with great people, good friends, warm weather, cold drink, I think life could be better, but not very much. Your attention was an honor.